bloodthirsty. Some demons are flying through the air. Others are charging on the ground, riding terrifying beasts. Their aura is overwhelming. On the human side, top-tier class users over level 70 are hovering in the air. Many more are charging across the ground. But I notice something is wrong. These aren't living people. They are all phantoms. It's the same for the demons on the abyssal side. Both sides are locked in a fierce battle where light and dark meet. Most of the abyssal demons have the ability to fly. Even the ones riding beasts on the ground can take flight at any moment. This puts the human side at a major disadvantage. The human race is at a disadvantage as soon as the battle begins. Suddenly, a mage raises his staff high. Airborne ban. Immediately, all demons and human powerhouses fall from the sky, except for that mage. The sky is empty. He holds his staff high. Forbidden spell, elemental cataclysm. Instantly, the elements everywhere go into a frenzy. The entire dungeon world shakes violently. Hundreds of human mages raise their staffs and shout together. Various forbidden spells rain down on the demons. In an instant, the demons suffer heavy casualties. Seeing the situation turn grim, a massive figure appears. It stands tall, reaching between heaven and earth. It is thousands of meters high. It waves its wings, and a terrifying elemental power erupts from its body. It instantly sweeps through the entire human army. Forbidden spells and abyssal power collide and explode. A brilliant 7-colored light covers the entire dungeon. After a moment, the light fades away. Both the humans and demons have vanished. The world that shifted between light and dark has turned into a land of elemental chaos. Elemental spirits begin to appear within it. I realized that scene was just a vision of a past war. It shows the origin of the elemental planes. This was likely just the tip of the iceberg of that battle. Now, the barriers on both paths disappear. This means it is time for us to make a choice. Without hesitation, I choose the path leading into the night. That area is tainted by abyssal energy. It's where the most demons gather. For me, it's the perfect place to farm military merits. We head down the mountain path. It's peaceful until the foot of the mountain, where abyssal monsters appear. Ahead of us is a vast, endless plain. No buildings, no cover. Deep within the plain stands a statue over 100 meters tall. That's the end point where the boss awaits. This dungeon is unique but simple. Clear out all the abyssal monsters to win. My skeleton warriors are now fully recovered. I summon them all. This is a level 30 dungeon on hell difficulty. I can't afford to be careless, especially since I'm only level 26 and soloing this. We soon encounter the first monster. It looks like a battlefield wolf demon, but it's much larger than any I've seen before. It sits atop a blue wolf over 5 meters tall. The wolf even has wings. My skeleton warriors charge in with their blades. The skeleton mages fire their skills from behind. A barrage of elemental attacks overwhelms it. Suddenly, a roar erupts. It's still alive? A focused attack from 100 skeleton mages could cripple a level 40 demon. But this monster only has minor injuries. I cast an inspection spell on it. Its information panel appeared. Trait: affected by abyssal energy. Defense increased. Dante realized the truth. These monsters are closely tied to the abyss. They exist because of abyssal energy. Even though their level is suppressed, 100 skeleton mages couldn't kill it instantly. Its 3-meter blade struck a skeleton warrior. A metallic clang echoed. The skeleton warrior only flinched. It didn't retreat a single step. Without special attack effects, there is nothing to fear, regardless of its HP or defense. It's just a matter of a few more strikes. The front line used frenzy strike. Red light glowed as the blades landed. In an instant, the monster was covered in wounds. Yet, there was no blood. Only black mist seeped from its injuries. The battlefield wolf demon feels no pain. Unlike regular demons, it has no sensation. 10 skeleton warriors unleashed their skills simultaneously. Then, the skeleton mages fired their second volley. This time, the battlefield wolf demon couldn't hold on. It let out a strange cry. Then it vanished into black smoke. System: you killed a level 34 battlefield wolf demon. EXP plus 680,000. This is double the EXP of a normal demon of the same level. But this is a level 30 dungeon on hell difficulty after all. I frowned at the spot where it disappeared. Like the monsters in the elemental planes, they leave no corpses. This means my corpse explosion skill is restricted. I'll have to push forward and take them out one by one. The moment I entered the next area, the world was completely shrouded in darkness. All light entering this place is swallowed by the dark. The only light source was the soul fire in the skeleton skulls. I used soul flame to provide some light. It only lit a small area, but then Raven's eyes flashed. Her assassin skill had activated. Assassins are like spirits of the night. The darkness is her best ally. In her vision, the darkness actually makes things clearer. There are so many monsters, Raven whispered. She saw the monsters hiding in the dark one by one. I told her to point out their locations. I would handle the killing. Raven was overjoyed. She felt like she had been useless until now. She didn't expect to be helpful here. Raven pointed out the exact location of each monster. I immediately sent the warriors to attack. Clearing them one by one isn't as fast as area attacks, but it's efficient and much safer. There are many monsters here, and sometimes several are lured at once. But that only takes a little more effort. After continuous fighting, I realized something. These monsters just have slightly higher health. Nothing else is special about this hell difficulty. This is much easier than the Dragon Frontline Outpost. Our EXP is skyrocketing as we go. By the halfway point, Sarah leveled up. Sarah asked, "Is this really hell difficulty?" "It's too easy." After killing a few more monsters, I finally leveled up too. Now, I have 140 skeleton warriors. I'm saving my recovered spirit power for now, since I don't know what the boss is like. It's better to save my energy. It might be useful later. As we push forward, the dark world has been cleared without us noticing. The monster difficulty didn't change in the second half. We usually face more than 2 monsters at once. But I'm not worried. My skeletons are doing all the work up front. They are tireless and feel no pain. They don't fear death. No one is more dedicated. Then Raven spoke up. "Dante, don't you think it's getting brighter?" I had already noticed the change. As we kill more monsters, the pitch black area is indeed lighting up. But Raven was confused. The boss statue is getting much darker. It really is getting darker. Some of the black energy is fading into the air. Killing monsters seems like a ritual to wake the boss. And that dissipating black energy, I noticed they seem to be flying toward the human side. I'm sure my observation is correct. As we eliminate the abyss monsters, the power of the abyss is weakening. And the monsters we kill, their energy flows into the statue after death. The dungeon seems easy so far. The boss is likely the hardest part. After all, this is a level 30 hell difficulty dungeon. It can't be this simple if this is all there is to it. If teams are just careful and lure monsters out to kill them one by one, even Grant's team, let alone a full 12-man squad, could clear it with some effort. Who knew hell difficulty hid such a secret? After I kill the boss in the dark world, a mysterious person in another world calls my name. When Raven and I entered the hell difficulty, battlefield number 3, we witnessed a great battle from the past. Then, 2 paths appeared before us. One leads to the dark abyssal world. The other leads to the light human world. I chose the abyssal world without hesitation. I thought I'd gain many merits by killing monsters along the way. But the monsters here are much weaker than in other dungeons. My merits haven't increased, but the giant boss statue is changing. I suspect the real difficulty lies with the boss. In the Nightmare Grade Grant mentioned, these changes don't happen. And that scene at the beginning didn't occur in Nightmare Grade either. If it had, Grant would have said so. He was very detailed about their run. Some parts match, but others are completely different. It's clear that Hell and Nightmare difficulties are completely different. The final boss statue in Nightmare Grade wasn't this big. It was only 30 meters tall, not 100 meters high like this one. Generally, the larger the size, the stronger the power. I must be more cautious. The abyssal world is brightening up a bit. Now we can finally see the monsters. Raven can finally give her eyes a rest. So far, this dungeon hasn't been difficult at all. That's exactly what's wrong. How can a hell difficulty dungeon be this easy? As the monsters die, the sky gets brighter. The darkness is almost gone. Only a few monsters are left. The boss statue is now indescribably black, many times darker than the thickest ink. A faint light is glowing from its center. The statue is vibrating. It's about to awaken. Once I kill these last few monsters, it will fully revive. I spoke to Raven with a serious expression. Go to the foot of the mountain and stay back. Raven knew she might become a burden to me. She told me to be careful and left. Without any worries, I ordered the skeleton warriors to finish off the rest. As the last monster died, the darkness in this abyssal world vanished. The statue began to roar and rumble. Standing at its feet, I look like an ant. The pressure from its massive size makes it difficult for me to breathe. Pieces of stone begin to fall off the boss. Soon, a giant monster resembling a black leopard appears. It looks exactly like the Demon King I saw when I first entered. Then, its status panel appears. It is a level 36 Elemental Leopard King. It has 2 skills, Elemental Explosion and Elemental Sweep. Trait, Extreme Speed. I realize it isn't the real Abyssal Demon King. It is just a monster formed from abyssal energy. That is why its stats are lower than a real demon's. However, its balanced attributes are just like the skeleton warriors. The Extreme Speed trait gives it incredible movement. Its vitality and defense are also greatly enhanced. This significantly boosts its survivability. To defeat it, I must first limit its speed. Although its size is intimidating, there are many ways to exploit it. Against my agile skeleton warriors and the slow curse, its size will become a burden. Just like the dragon I saw during my class change. It will fall to the blades of my skeletons. Now, the Elemental Leopard King has fully awakened. It looks down at me as if I were an ant. It lets out a thunderous roar. Fierce winds rise as the 4 elements go wild. Fireballs and ice arrows rain down on me. I quickly activate my bone armor. It blocks all the elemental attacks. I immediately cast Slow Curse. Countless red chains bind it tightly. The trapped Elemental Leopard King lets out a roar. It uses all its strength to break free. Even though the ground beneath it shatters, it still cannot break the chains. Realizing it can't escape yet, it swings its sharp claws at me. Its speed reaches its peak at this moment, even under the effect of Slow Curse. Its claws leave after images as they strike. I don't dodge, and the Leopard King senses something is wrong. Its claws stop midair. My bone armor blocked the attack. Its physical attack isn't much higher than the Dragon Outpost Guardians. With bone armor active, I have nothing to fear. While it attacks me, the skeleton warriors leap onto its body. All 140 skeletons unleash their skills. As their blades strike the leopard, black mist pours out of its body. It flies toward the human camp. The skeleton warriors start their butchering mode. They hack at the elemental leopard king's body. Every strike releases a trace of black mist. Then, I summon all my remaining skeleton mages. Just like with the Hell Outpost Guardian, I surround the elemental leopard king. This way, it can attack all the skeleton mages at once. The skeleton warriors unleash another wave of skills. With the skeleton mages' elemental attacks, the elemental leopard king's body shrinks significantly. Its 100-meter frame is now only about 90 meters tall. I shake my head at the sight. Too weak. Suddenly, the elemental leopard king let out a roar. It seems humiliated to be injured by ants. It activates its skill, Elemental Starburst. In an instant, dozens of skeletons are blown away. The range of the explosion expands rapidly. Even the skeleton mages far away are sent flying. I am surprised. This skill is almost identical to Ethelgard's. But Ethelgard needs her star ring to use it. This beast doesn't. Its elemental control is superior. I remember the scenes I saw when entering the dungeon. Those images of the Great Forbidden Spell War. This elemental leopard king was one of the original monsters. Unfortunately, the dungeon only mimics its appearance. Its level, stats, and skills are all limited here. This imitation is inferior to Ethelgard in every way. The power of the same skill is much weaker. Frenzy Strike. The skeleton warriors charge back in. Frenzy Strike. They didn't take much damage. They completely ignore the leopard king's attacks. The elemental leopard king grows even more furious. It repeatedly uses its skill to blow the skeletons away. But the skeleton warriors just keep running back. After several rounds of attacks, the elemental leopard king's body continues to shrink. Soon, its height drops to 70 meters. In its rage, it activates its second skill. Elemental Sweep. Its fur turns into whips, lashing out wildly. Each lash deals both physical and elemental damage. Wind, thunder, ice, and fire collide in a chaotic storm. It looks spectacular, but it is all show and no substance. The skeleton warriors continue to ignore the attacks. To me, this big guy is just a thick-skinned target. It cannot even use the speed it is so proud of. I do not need to put in any effort. I just need time to wear it down. But the weaker the elemental leopard king seems, the more suspicious I become. This hell difficulty dungeon is even easier than the outpost dungeon. A full 12-person team with decent coordination could easily clear this. But it should not be this simple for a hell difficulty dungeon. Could the human route be much harder? I quickly dismiss that thought. The elemental leopard king keeps shrinking. It grows weaker and weaker. Its traits seem powerful, but they only kept it alive for a few more minutes. It finally turns into a wisp of black smoke and vanishes. Not a trace of darkness remains in the dungeon. Light now rules everything. System, elemental leopard king killed. Reward, 2.16 million EXP. Obtained gold-grade equipment, elemental staff. The EXP is decent. But these drops do not match a hell difficulty dungeon. Then, the dungeon exit appeared before me. Is it over? Something feels wrong. Something is missing. Raven ran over. She pointed toward the human world. Something is happening. The human world is glowing. A mage appeared in midair. He was covered in elements, holding a scepter. He wasn't real. He was made of energy, just like the elemental leopard king. But his aura was much more powerful. As I watched him, he looked down at me. Our eyes met, and an old, majestic voice spoke. Come to me. My eyes widened. A chill ran down my spine. Raven didn't seem to hear anything. It seems only I can hear it. Who would have thought a deadly hell difficulty dungeon was an inheritance site for ancient gods? I never expected the final boss would be the remnant soul of a god-tier mage. After clearing the dark world, I was about to leave. Suddenly, an old voice echoed in my head. Come to me. It came from the human world. I didn't know who was calling me. I told Raven to wait for me here. Raven understood what I was doing. She told me to be careful. I walked toward the human world. As soon as I entered, I was shocked. Compared to the dark and lifeless abyssal world, this place feels full of life and holiness. They are complete opposites. I see a humanoid monster nearby. I immediately use detection on it. Its status panel appears before me. Its spirit and constitution are higher than the elemental leopard king's. It is a magic-type monster. After I cleared the dark world, the dark power was absorbed by the human world. This greatly buffed the monsters here. They changed from elite monsters to hell-grade enhanced elites. Most importantly, their magic shields provide immense protection. They also take 50% less physical and elemental damage. Their survivability is incredibly high. Dealing with them will be very difficult. But since I am already here, I have no reason to fear. I summon my skeleton army. The skeleton warriors charge forward with their blades. The skeleton mages raise their staves behind them. Elemental attacks rain down on the enemy. Suddenly, a blue light flashes on the mage spirit. A magic shield instantly surrounds it. It blocks every attack from my skeleton mages. Then, a ring of fire erupts from the monster. My leading skeleton warriors are instantly knocked back. This is the effect of the mage spirit's fire ring. It ignores levels and crowd control skills. Luckily, I have a massive number of skeleton warriors. As some are pushed back, more keep charging forward. The skeleton warriors strike the magic shield repeatedly. The shield begins to distort. Just as it's about to break, the mage spirit uses a skill. Flaming meteors rain down from the sky. As they crash into the ground, the area instantly becomes a sea of fire. But my warriors don't dodge. They stand their ground. They keep hacking at the enemy. After dozens of strikes, the shield finally shatters. Frenzy strike. The skeleton mages launch their attack. The system notification pops up immediately. Killed a level 36 Hellgrade Enhanced Elite. Gained 1.96 million EXP. I continue deeper into the human world. I don't see any other types of monsters. Only these annoying mages. There were about 20 more of them. It takes me another hour to finally clear them all out. Soon, I arrive before the final boss. The mage I saw earlier opens its eyes and looks at me. Kill me. I'm stunned by its words. As I wonder what's happening, she slowly stands up. She looks almost like a normal human. She's very different from the humanoid monsters I met earlier. She's dressed in fine robes. Her movements show that she has a mind of her own. This is the first time I've encountered a conscious monster. A fiery red staff appears in her hand. My pupils shrink in surprise. This staff isn't just made of energy. It's a real piece of equipment. She slowly raises her head and looks at me. But her words feel so strange. How can she speak if she's already dead? While I'm thinking, she raises her staff. A massive fireball shoots toward me. It radiates intense heat. A skeleton warrior quickly shields me. The fireball explodes against the skeleton warrior. The skeleton warrior's body actually begins to crack. Flames burst out in every direction. I quickly activate bone armor to block the blast. This is shocking. Did defeating the elemental leopard king cause the dungeon's energy to concentrate in this mage? Even the energy from the other monsters might be inside her. If so, she holds the power of the entire dungeon. The mage speaks once more. If you cannot kill me. She raises her staff and begins to chant. The entire dungeon starts to tremble. My expression changes instantly. The dungeon exit has suddenly disappeared. Even the dungeon escape charm won't work. I must kill this boss to leave. My gaze turns cold. I raise my hand and summon my skeleton army. The skeleton warriors and skeleton mages attack together. At the same time, I use detection on her. Its attribute panel immediately appears. A level 39 boss. But its spirit stat is as high as 40,000 points. It even has 5 different skills. A class user's strength isn't just about attributes. It also depends on skills. This elemental archmage must have been a mage-type class user. After dying, it was reconstructed by the dungeon's energy. It still retains the characteristics of a mage. A stat of 40,000 has already surpassed the elemental queen. It is the strongest boss I've seen in terms of a single attribute. Having 5 skills to deal with is a real headache. But there is no turning back now. I immediately order the skeleton warriors to charge. Their bodies glow with a red light. Suddenly, a blue shield appears around the boss. This is its skill, Mana Shield. The skills of several skeleton warriors hit the shield. The Mana Shield erupts with a blinding light. Its shape begins to distort. This is the strongest Mana Shield I have ever seen. I immediately cast my skill, Soul Flame. This is my only skill that can ignore defense. A flame explodes over the boss's head. The damage makes its entire body tremble violently, but it doesn't make a single sound. Before it can recover, I cast Slow Curse. Bound by the chains, its speed suddenly drops. It didn't expect me to have a curse skill. Its expression finally changes. There is surprise, but also a hint of satisfaction. The skeleton mages launch their attack. Massive elemental spells drown the boss. Wind, fire, and lightning crash down all at once. The 4 elements strike the magic shield repeatedly. A moment later, the shield shatters. The skeleton warriors seize the chance to strike. Suddenly, beams of light hit the mages. The skeleton mages immediately stop their chanting. This is the boss's silent skill. It prevents them from using any magic. As more beams shoot from the boss, the mages are silenced one by one. I quickly recall the remaining mages. Now I must rely on the warriors' physical attacks. More skeleton warriors rush forward. It tries to retreat, but the slow curse makes it difficult. I continue to blast it with Soul Flame. Every hit causes the boss immense pain. Suddenly, the front warriors stop in their tracks. Glowing chains appear around them. This is the Windlock skill. At the same time, a blue light flashes on the boss. Its magic shield reappears. It continues to cast spells. More warriors are trapped with every move. Soon, more than half of them are immobilized. It is impossible to break the shield with just the warriors. I have to do this myself. Usually, I would use Corpse Explosion to clear this. But there are no corpses in this dungeon to explode. Soul Flame is my only useful skill now. Fortunately, its magic shield cannot block Soul Flame. As I continue to cast the skill, the boss's face twists in agony. It suddenly raises its staff and screams. Meteor Apocalypse. Glowing patterns appear beneath its feet. They quickly form a pentagram array. The sky turns blood red in an instant. Countless flaming meteors begin to fall. In terms of both range and power, it is stronger than the mage who ambushed me. I quickly activate bone armor for defense. Because the range is so massive, there is nowhere to hide. I'll fight it head on. To see who lasts longer, I endure the meteors and keep using Soul Flame. I refresh my bone armor every few moments. However, my mental energy is being consumed much faster. Luckily, I brought many recovery potions with me. Meteor Apocalypse lasts for a full minute before it finally stops. Then, a beam of light shoots from the boss's staff. It tries to use silence to restrict my skills. But silence has no effect on me. My bone armor grants immunity to all control and negative effects. The boss's expression shifts. It stops using Meteor Apocalypse. Instead, it attacks me with Explosive Flame. This single-target skill is less powerful than the meteors, but it can be cast repeatedly. Hits keep landing on me. Flames explode one after another before my eyes. Relying on my bone armor, I don't bother dodging. I continue to cast Soul Flame at maximum speed. After trading blows dozens of times, the boss finally ran out of health and fell. It vanished into countless blue lights. Congratulations. You killed the level 39 Elemental Archmage. I was shocked when I saw the rewards. The scepter is a legendary weapon. Spatial crystals can make teleportation stones. This talent awakening stone guarantees a talent during the 3rd class change. Even this flash skill scroll is worth over 100 million. Raven rushed over after hearing the commotion. She was stunned when she saw the scepter in my hand. You actually got the Flame God scepter here. It was the weapon of the God-tier fire mage, Ignis. Suddenly, the Flame God scepter emitted a bright light. A figure emerged from within. He looked exactly like the boss from earlier. I quickly pulled Raven behind me. I also activated my bone armor. Don't be nervous, young man. The figure became clearer. Raven cried out in surprise. Are you the great mage Ignis? Ignis looked at her curiously. Do you know me? I saw your portrait in the Xinxia Museum. It described your legendary deeds. This mage was once a god-tier powerhouse of the Divine Summer Empire. One must be at least level 90 to be called god-tier. His level was as high as 91. I cleared a hell difficulty dungeon alone and accidentally activated an ancient inheritance ground. Not only did I get the legendary Flame God scepter, I also obtained a priceless talent awakening stone and a spatial crystal. This spatial crystal even records the coordinates of the abyssal space. I said I would hand it over to the Empire's leaders once I returned. But the flame mage, Ignis, shook his head. Aside from the spatial crystal, he looked at me with great anticipation. I nodded and admitted I have a god-tier talent, total amplification. Ignis looked delighted upon hearing this. This way, when you reach level 70 for your 3rd class change, you will have 3 talent bonuses. In thousands of years, our race has only produced one top expert with 3 talents. His eyes were full of hope. I could clearly feel his deep love for the human race. So, I told him I would do my best. But why did you choose me? Ignis said proudly. Actually, a young girl from a while back was also quite good. Speaking of which, my heart suddenly trembled. I quickly showed a photo to him. Senior, are you talking about her? It was a photo of me and Moira. Yes, it's her. Hearing news of my sister, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Ignis then told me she was already level 35 at that time. But he comforted me, saying that level isn't always what matters most. Besides, your class is very special. If you can awaken an anti-control talent. Ignis talked to me for a long time. Raven and I listened intently. We knew he would cease to exist once we left. I finally left the dungeon, carrying Ignis's final wishes. My emergence immediately caught everyone's attention. The nearby class users started to tease us. Grant and his team, who had been waiting, rushed over. But when I described the monsters and bosses inside, Grant and his teammates all felt a chill down their spines. When they heard there was even a second boss, Grant's team completely gave up on trying to clear it. Grant asked if I planned to keep grinding the hell difficulty. I told him I was heading to battlefield number 3 to hunt demons for merit. If I only wanted to level up, I can't use corpse explosion in this dungeon. That makes the leveling speed far too slow. I'd rather find a better dungeon at the Academy's Hall of Dungeons. Although I finished the task Magnus gave me, I'm in no rush to turn it in yet. Raven and I headed to battlefield number 3 to find demons. After I left, Grant and his team stayed behind. They were waiting for the dungeon cooldown to end. At their level, killing ordinary devourers was no problem. Most people who become demon hunters like them are typically level 36 or 37 class users. Some are even level 40 experts who finish their 2nd class change. But it's never absolutely safe. Teams are often wiped out, Luna whispered, watching us vanish into the mist. Grant replied indifferently. He can solo hell difficulty dungeons way above his level. A few demons won't be a problem for him. Just as the two were talking, suddenly, a bright light lit up the sky as alarms blared. Everyone present was startled awake. The light and alarms came from the nearby human base. High-level class users rushed out of the base, shouting, "Demons are attacking. Prepare for battle." The deafening voice echoed through the air. Some people stood up nervously. Others looked indifferent. It's probably just 100 demons at most. But then Luna suddenly cried out. Hearing her, Grant broke into a cold sweat. Even high-level base guards were being deployed. Dante is strong, but high-level demons are a different story. Thinking of this, Grant couldn't help but worry. Meanwhile, on the other side, countless crimson eyes appeared in the darkness. Numerous demons rushed out, pushing and shoving. They crossed the portal into the human world with a bloodthirsty aura. Delicious humans, here I come. But before they could even see the human world, clearly, several blades glowing with red light struck them. They screamed as elemental attacks followed immediately. Kill notifications kept popping up. The remaining demons tried to flee, but I wouldn't let them succeed. I raised my hand and cast Slow Curse. Instantly, they were pinned in place, unable to move. In a flash, All the demons were dead. This time, Raven and I gained 800 military merits. Soon, a second wave of demons emerged from the spatial rift. I didn't use corpse explosion inside the rift this time. Instead, I waited for them to rush out before killing them. I didn't want to alert Vulcan inside. I knew the limits of my strength. As more demons rushed out of the rift, I increased the number of corpses I detonated. I continued until no more demons emerged. I gained nearly another 1,000 merits. The military medal on my chest began to glow. I finally became a 1-star ensign. Raven is only 600 merits away from 1-star ensign. After I cleared the 6th wave of demons, we had each gained over 5,000 merits in total. Just as I thought the spatial rift was about to vanish, many crimson eyes appeared from within. My hidden strength is finally revealed for the first time in battlefield number 3. Right after I killed the 5th wave of demons from the rift, I thought the tide was ending. Unexpectedly, the shadows of several high-level demons appeared in the rift. With their strength, if they entered battlefield number 3 and summoned their devourers, they could have slaughtered the class users at the world dungeon entrance. Unfortunately for them, they ran into me. As they emerged from the spatial rift, a massive explosion hit them head-on. They screamed as the blast sent them flying. However, as high-level demons, their stats and health are far superior to ordinary ones. A single corpse explosion only wounded them. Seeing the ground covered in demon corpses, they realized that every previous wave had been wiped out. Then, another violent explosion struck. The 4 demons were heavily wounded once more. I didn't give them any chance to struggle. I triggered corpse explosion twice in a row. Soon, they died in total frustration. This increased Raven's and my merit by 32,000 points. The spatial rift began to warp. More crimson eyes appeared from within the rift. Seeing this, I smirked. I ordered 2 corpses to be thrown into the rift. The moment they entered, I triggered corpse explosion. A massive boom followed, along with nonstop screaming. Notifications kept popping up. Merit plus 50, merit plus 50. Ravens and my merits increased by another 7,000 points. Another gold star lit up on my military medal. My total merit reached 322,000 points. My rank rose to 2-star ensign. Beside me, Sarah jumped for joy. My military rank increased as the spatial portal began to collapse. Only a field of demon corpses remained. Near the world dungeon, battlefield number 3, hundreds of class users stood ready for battle. But they waited for a long time, and no demons appeared. The base's warning system couldn't be wrong. A large spatial portal had definitely opened nearby. But why didn't any demons come through? Now the spatial portal has completely vanished. The base guards headed toward the portal's location. The other class users followed them. They only saw demon corpses covering the ground. Some were even piled up like small mountains. This was clearly done by someone, but who? They killed so many demons in such a short time. There were even several level 40 high-level demons among them. Did some powerhouse happen to pass by and just wipe them all out on the way? Everyone began to speculate wildly. However, Grant found this scene very familiar. This was exactly Dante's style. He guessed that this was all Dante's handiwork. Even Luna realized it instantly. With Dante's strength, he could easily achieve this. I was worried for nothing. I clearly underestimated him. The group finally breathed a sigh of relief. Grant waved his hand. Let's go back and keep grinding levels in the dungeon. Once we reach level 35, we can also become demon hunters and earn merit points. Others studied the demon's corpse for a long time, but found nothing. In the end, they could only retreat. At least the demon was dealt with. That's not a bad thing. Over the next few days, Raven and I roamed the depths of battlefield number 3. Unfortunately, we didn't find any more spatial rifts. We could only hunt down scattered demons. After 4 days of hunting, our merit points increased. But we are still a bit away from becoming 3-star ensigns. Raven said it was time to head back. Only 3 days remained before the class user tournament. We'll rest at Summer Capital Academy tomorrow. Then we'll meet Sierra and the others and head to Nanhong City to join the tournament. I checked the schedule. But just then, the teleportation stone Vivian gave us suddenly reacted. Raven gasped. It's the battlefield Ghost King. She crushed the stone without hesitation. A pitch-black humanoid monster appeared before us. It was the level 39 world boss, Battlefield Ghost King. It spawns randomly across battlefields number 1 to number 3. It only stays for 30 minutes each time. It's extremely rare. If you rank the least killed bosses, this one would definitely be on the list. This time, the Ghost King appeared in battlefield number 2. Vivian found it, but she wasn't the only one. Another group had also found it. A team of 12 class users was attacking Vivian. The mage's skills were exploding like fireworks in the sky. Vivian rode her unicorn through the air, dodging attacks. The unicorn was covered in glowing light. Like a mage's magic shield, it blocked incoming hits. It also fired sacred energy balls to counterattack. However, the enemy team had 2 knights. They took turns blocking Vivian's attacks. Individually, their strength and classes were weaker than hers, but they had more people and a balanced team composition. Vivian was fighting all by herself. Both sides were stuck in a stalemate. She was pinned down and couldn't break free. Meanwhile, another 8-person team went to attack the battlefield Ghost King. If they defeated the boss now, it wouldn't respawn for at least another month. Vivian frowned, wondering why help was taking so long. She desperately hoped for me to show up soon. With my strength, there might still be a chance to turn things around. Just then, The space around her began to warp. An instant later, Raven and I teleported in. Immediately, a barrage of spells flew toward us. Archers fired a rain of arrows, but Vivian's unicorn blocked them. However, some attacks still managed to hit Raven and me. Fortunately, my bone armor blocked everything. Raven quickly asked what was happening. Vivian told us she had found the battlefield Ghost King. It was easy to understand the situation. People often try to steal bosses in the wild, especially a world boss that drops Soul Nirvana crystals. Every major guild would fight for it. When I heard it was the Dynasty Guild, I remembered what happened back at the West Sea Mine dungeon. My gaze turned cold. I looked down at the people attacking. I recognized their uniforms. They were definitely from the Dynasty Guild. A smirk played on my lips. My aura became colder than ever. Suddenly, an angry shout came from below. Dante! I looked toward the voice. It was Nero, looking at me with pure hatred. Vivian whispered beside me. The Dynasty Guild is here to get a Soul Nirvana crystal for him. I understood immediately. They want him to undergo class sublimation during his level 42nd class change. That would make him a legendary class user. But Nero is only level 20 right now. Skill explosions rang out nearby. Another Dynasty Guild team was already attacking the battlefield Ghost King. Vivian grew anxious. She didn't know what to do. She knew I was strong, but not exactly how strong. There was a whole team of Dynasty Guild members below. Their levels ranged from 35 to 38. She wasn't sure if I could handle them. But I just smiled. Don't let them kill the boss. I'll handle these people. Vivian nodded. She told me to be careful. Then she rode her unicorn toward the boss. The Dynasty Guild members tried to stop her, but Nero ordered them to deal with me first. As the young leader of the Dynasty Guild, his words were law. Besides, I was a much easier target than Vivian. After all, I'm only level 27. And Sarah is only level 26. In their group, aside from Nero, the other 11 members are at least level 35. The highest is level 39. Taking down a level 27 player like me should be effortless for them. Nero glared at me, his anger rising. If it wasn't for you during the big exam, I wouldn't have failed. I wouldn't have been rejected by the academies. He began to lose control. A red light suddenly erupted from his body. This was because his class is a berserker. He blamed all of his failures on me. I didn't understand why he hated me so much before. Now I see that it all stems from jealousy. My words provoked Nero even further. A knight from his team immediately charged forward. He used his charge skill to rush at Dante. He is a level 38 knight. He is fully equipped with gold tier gear. With full buffs, his combat power is immense. A knight's attributes focus on strength and constitution. For a standard level 38 knight, the base strength attribute is already over 4,000. With equipment and buffs included, his strength exceeds 10,000. In Nero's eyes, these stats are far beyond anything I can match. He could already see the knight crushing me. I am now facing a high-level team from a top guild alone on the battlefield. Everyone thought I was being overconfident. They didn't realize that my hunting game had just begun. Right after Nero gave the order to kill me, a knight was the first to charge at me. As the knight closed in, a skeleton warrior suddenly blocked his path. It instantly unleashed the frenzy strike skill. Red light flared from the blade, and the knight's expression changed. A sense of fatal danger swept through his body. His instincts told him he was about to die. He reflexively raised his shield to block. But a level 27 skeleton warrior has over 22,000 strength. Combined with the 200% skill amplification, the attack power far exceeded the knight's defense limit. With a loud bang, the knight was sent flying like a cannonball. He was incapacitated by a single blow. This scene shocked everyone. Nero looked on in pure disbelief. The team's healer quickly cast a skill to treat the knight. Nero snapped out of it and shouted, "Focus fire! Kill him!" Spells and arrows poured toward me. I let out a cold snort at the sight. In an instant, a large number of skeleton warriors appeared. They charged forward like lightning with clacking sounds. Skeleton mages followed right behind them, unleashing 4 types of elemental skills at once. Hundreds of spells covered the sky in an instant. Nero and his team were overwhelmed before their shocked eyes. The mages' magic shields were torn to shreds almost instantly. The archers quickly activated their evasion skills. They tried to dodge the attacks using agile movements. But these weren't just single-target spells. The area of effect attacks were impossible to avoid. Desperate, the knights raised their shields high. They protected the support members behind them. The healers cast skills nonstop to keep everyone alive. Yet, screams of agony rang out one after another. Nero was in the worst shape of all, even with his berserk skill active. A single hit nearly killed him. If the knight hadn't dragged him behind the shields, he would be dead. Nero roared like a cornered dog. How is he so strong? Why does he have mage summons too? Just then, several powerful skills struck again. The knights were at their breaking point. They were forced to use their survival skill, ultimate defense. The healers desperately tried to restore their health. But this only bought them a little more time. They were completely surrounded by skeleton warriors. It was too late to break through. The skeleton mages launched their second wave of attacks. More screams of agony erupted. Because the healers were a second too slow, some team members had already died. Through the gap, Nero saw Dante raise his hand. He remembered the terrifying skill Dante used in the battle realm. His face was filled with pure terror. Screams were drowned out by the sound of corpse explosion. After the massive blast, only 2 knights were left alive. but they were already at the end of their rope. They looked at me with pure terror. They couldn't understand how a level 27 class user could be this powerful. But when they saw the military medal on my shoulder, they knew they were completely finished. Reaching the rank of 2-star ensign requires over 20,000 military merit. How many demons must one kill to earn a rank like that? Rank is the ultimate proof of strength. At that moment, they gave up all resistance. Meanwhile, another 8-man Dynasty Guild team was fighting the Battlefield Ghost King. This team was much stronger than Nero's. Their leader was a Grand Knight who had reached his second awakening. He was already level 42. The team's mage and high priest were also high-level class users. The rest of the team members were all level 39. With a lineup like this, defeating the Battlefield Ghost King would be easy. Vivian tried to harass them from the air, but the level 42nd awakening mage kept her pinned down. His skills were so strong that Vivian's shield would break after only 2 hits. She couldn't slow them down as much as she hoped. Although she made the boss fight slower, as long as the knights held the line, they would eventually kill the boss. Just as Vivian was worrying, she suddenly received a team invite from Dante. She joined the team without a second thought. Finished so soon. She looked down. She saw Dante and Raven running toward her. Several skeletons followed them, carrying 2 corpses. They were the bodies of the knights from the previous team. Vivian quickly looked back toward the distance. No one was left standing. Vivian's heart skipped a beat at the sight. Despite her cold attitude, she had only ever fought monsters. She had never actually killed a person before. Earlier, she had only heard Dante talk about it. Suddenly, a massive fireball exploded beside her. Both she and her unicorn were sent flying. She wasn't injured, but she was left in a sorry state. The enemy mage sneered after blasting her away. He mocked her for overestimating herself. Suddenly, he saw something flying toward him. It landed at his feet, and he realized it was a corpse. It was a member of his own guild. Before he could react, the corpse exploded violently. His magic shield shattered instantly. He was blown backward, but he wasn't the only one. The entire team was caught in the explosion. Then, another corpse came flying in. It exploded right in the middle of them. 2 explosions wiped out the entire team, except for the knight. The knight only survived because he was further ahead fighting the boss. Vivian was stunned by what she saw. The team she couldn't handle had been erased so easily. Meanwhile, the knight fighting the boss shouted, "Elder, heal me." He yelled, but there was no response. The boss's attacks were relentless. He wouldn't last long without a healer. He was forced to use his survival skill, Ultimate Defense. His defense boosted to the maximum in an instant. Now, even the boss couldn't do much damage to him. He took the chance to turn around and see what the others were doing. But what he saw terrified him. The rest of his team had completely vanished. Instead, a horde of skeleton warriors was charging toward him. His first instinct was to run. But suddenly, a red light flashed before his eyes. He realized his speed had dropped significantly. He knew he had been hit by a curse. Before he could react, the skeleton warriors surrounded him. A barrage of attacks immediately landed on him. Slowed by the curse, he couldn't dodge at all. Luckily, his ultimate defense was still active. The skeleton warrior's frenzy strike barely did any damage. However, the constant attacks were rapidly draining the skill's duration. As the duration of ultimate defense dwindled, his fear began to grow. He wanted to escape, but hundreds of skeletons blocked every path. There was no way to break through. Just as ultimate defense was about to expire, he let out a desperate roar. He cast Mass Shield, and a ball of light surrounded him. It looked similar to a mage's shield. It was a group defense skill. It wasn't nearly as strong as ultimate defense, but it was his only option left to survive. Suddenly, several corpses flew over his head. He heard a deafening explosion. In an instant, his mass shield shattered into pieces. He screamed as he was consumed by the blast. With his death, the Battlefield Ghost King lost its target. Its aggro immediately shifted to me. It's shocking. The god of slaughter, who nearly destroyed the Republic of H, is now stunned by the power I've displayed. Since I took out the Dynasty Guild's team, the Battlefield Ghost King's aggro instantly targeted me. It let out a roar and leaped right in front of me. It swung its massive palm down toward my head. Vivian saw this and shouted for me to be careful, but I didn't dodge and let it strike me. I have complete confidence in my bone armor. At that moment, the Battlefield Ghost King's status panel appeared. After checking its stats, I had a general understanding of its power. Its strength and constitution are higher than my skeleton warriors. With its 50% physical damage reduction, it will take my skeletons some time to kill it. As long as it doesn't have crowd control skills, there's nothing to worry about. I waved my hand, and the skeleton warriors swarmed the Ghost King. The skeleton mages continuously bombarded it with elemental spells. The Battlefield Ghost King was instantly overwhelmed by attacks. In just half a minute, the damage it received was more than what the previous team dealt in 30 minutes. Suddenly, the Battlefield Ghost King let out a piercing scream. Vivian's eyes instantly became vacant. Fortunately, her unicorn's neigh snapped her back to her senses. Vivian broke into a cold sweat, realizing she had been charmed. However, I wasn't affected at all. Bone armor grants immunity to all charm and illusion skills. Then, the Battlefield Ghost King activated a new skill, Life Drain. A red beam of light fell on me and my skeletons. The Battlefield Ghost King began to drain our life force. But my bone armor glowed brightly. It couldn't drain any life force at all. The same was true for the skeleton warriors. Seeing this, the battlefield Ghost King let out a roar. It seemed to be venting its frustration. As the skeleton's attacks continued to land, its life force began to deplete rapidly. Vivian clenched her fists in excitement. It was finally happening. She had waited so long for this. Otherwise, she would have reached level 40 and rank up long ago. She was waiting specifically for this Soul Nirvana crystal. Once she obtained this crystal, she would have a 60% chance for class sublimation to upgrade from a holy summoner to a celestial summoner. Both her attributes and strength would increase significantly. Most people only know about the 5 class ranks, but even legendary classes are divided into tiers. Holy Summoner is only a low-tier legendary class. There are mid and high tiers above it. These higher tiers cannot be awakened during the first class ceremony. They require class sublimation during the second or third class change. Finally, the battlefield Ghost King lost its last bit of health and collapsed. The system notified me of the kill. One of the drops was the platinum-grade Ghost King dagger. It grants plus 800 to all attributes and boosts assassin skills by 60%. It includes the skill Void Evasion, turning the user intangible for 30 seconds. It grants immunity to physical attacks with a 5-minute cooldown. Next was the Ghost King longsword. The Ghost King's heart is the primary material for crafting Ghost King jewelry. Platinum weapons differ significantly from gold-grade ones. Not only do they offer much higher attribute and skill bonuses, but there is also one major distinction. Many platinum weapons come with a special built-in skill. These skills are randomized. Even 2 identical platinum weapons can have different skills. Some skills are incredibly powerful, while others can be quite useless. The Ghost King dagger I just obtained comes with Void Evasion, which is an exceptional skill. It grants immunity to physical damage for 30 seconds. Against pure physical classes, it is essentially 30 seconds of invincibility. It's a god-tier skill. I tossed the dagger to Raven. Raven was thrilled, realizing how broken the dagger's skill truly was. I then handed a Soul Nirvana crystal to Vivian. Vivian carefully tucked the crystal away. Our luck was good today, she said. The Ghost King's heart is the key material for crafting the Ghost King necklace. It's very valuable. If you can't find a skilled alchemist, let Raven help you find one. Raven suddenly chuckled. He is Magnus' disciple. He can just ask Master Magnus for help with things like that. Vivian was stunned by this revelation. She never expected me to have such an identity. Magnus was a legendary and terrifying figure. However, given my strength, it made perfect sense. Vivian then warned me to stay vigilant. You killed members of the Dynasty Guild, especially since Slade also died here, even if you were protected by Lord Magnus. But I was already wary of her concerns. That is why I killed them all so decisively. The only problem might be the Ghost King weapons I have. These weapons are extremely rare. It would be easy for others to trace them back to me. After all, the leader of the Dynasty Guild is a top-tier class user who finished his 3rd job advancement. If he attacks me now, I will not be able to resist. Raven clearly realized this as well. She said that before I grow stronger, she will not use the Ghost King dagger recklessly. We then quickly left the area. At the moment the battlefield Ghost King died, many people nearby received a notification. Battlefield Ghost King slain. Ghost King's heart has dropped. Everyone was shocked. They wondered which team was strong enough to kill a Ghost King that can drain life. No one knew my skeletons were the perfect counter. They prevented the boss from absorbing life force. This made the fight much easier for me than for others. The news soon reached Alaric, the Dynasty Guild leader. When he heard the battlefield Ghost King was dead, he felt a sense of joy. He knew his guild members were hunting it there. Previously, Nero had failed the big exam. Alaric was disappointed, but there was nothing he could do. Luckily, the Dynasty Guild he built was still powerful. Since he couldn't enter the academy, he decided to train him personally. He sent a squad to find Soul Nirvana crystals for his son. As long as he obtains a crystal and completes his class sublimation, a comeback is entirely possible. He didn't expect a Ghost King's heart to drop as well. He was already planning to find an alchemist to forge boss jewelry for his son, but he didn't know that Nero would never return. Meanwhile, Raven and I returned to the Summer Capital Academy. This trip was a success, and my military rank improved significantly. I also obtained rare items like Soul Nirvana crystals and Talent Awakening stones. I even met the remnant soul of the god mage, Ignis. All these experiences will mark my path to growth. At the Summer Capital Academy, Alaric's eyelids twitched while he was drinking tea. A small smile appeared on his face, as if he had seen something interesting. Magnus, who was nearby, chuckled. The class user tournament is in 4 days. I wonder if he has finished the task I gave him. Alaric, can't you check on him for me? Alaric replied softly. That would be boring. It's better to keep it a mystery. Magnus understood immediately. You've already peeked, haven't you? Alaric just smiled and didn't answer. Magnus snorted. He knew that if Alaric didn't want to talk, there was no point in asking. But looking at his expression, just then, a ripple of energy came from outside the courtyard. I walked in, and Magnus quickly came to meet me. Before he could even ask if I had finished the mission, I handed him all the required materials. Magnus looked at them with satisfaction. Suddenly, his gaze locked onto the military medal on my chest. He was completely stunned. My military merits had increased by nearly 20,000. Did you raid a demon's nest? The peerless god of slaughter, Magnus, had finally lost his composure. As soon as I returned to Summer Capital Academy, Magnus noticed my military medal immediately. Seeing the rank of 2-star ensign, his expression shifted. Reaching 2-star ensign requires over 20,000 military merits. Killing a normal demon under level 40 only grants 100 merits. Even more shocking, I was acting together with Raven. This meant the merits from every kill were split between us. In total, I would have had to slay at least 400 demons. He blurted out, "Did you blow up a demon stronghold?" I simply told him I had killed a few high-level demons. Hearing this, Magnus nearly jumped out of his seat. "You think high-level demons are easy to kill? Killing one is hard enough, let alone several." Alaric, however, became very intrigued. "Tell us what happened." So, I explained how I bombed the spatial tunnel. Magnus was fired up after hearing the story. Vulcan must be fuming with rage by now. He failed to kill you twice. He has been completely humiliated. Just then, I told them about the Godflame mage I encountered in the world dungeon. Magnus jumped up after hearing this. "What did you say? You met the Godflame mage Ignis?" Even Alaric opened his eyes and looked at me. His gaze was full of questions. So, I told them about my experience in the dungeon. After listening, Alaric suppressed a laugh and looked at Magnus. "So you were just trash in Senior Ignis's eyes?" Magnus snorted. "My class hadn't sublimated back then. It's normal to be looked down on. Ignis lived a long time ago. Neither Magnus nor Alaric were born in that era." Magnus had also visited World Dungeon, Battlefield number 3, in the past. He had cleared Hell difficulty, but he wasn't alone. He was part of a team back then. Ignis did not appear to him at that time. Perhaps Magnus really was trash in his eyes back then. Magnus turned to Alaric and snorted. "You've been to this dungeon too, haven't you?" Alaric quickly shook his head. "I never tried Hell difficulty." Magnus was too annoyed to speak. Even a genius like him wasn't chosen by Ignis. It shows how high Ignis's standards were. "Hand it over." I was stunned. I didn't know what he wanted me to give him. Magnus reminded me from the side. To turn a spatial crystal into an abyss warp stone. Alaric is the best person for the job. I finally realized. Alaric is a top master arrayist in the Divine Summer Empire. It was best to let him craft the abyss warp stone. I handed the spatial crystal to him without hesitation. After Alaric took the spatial crystal, a small tower suddenly appeared in his hand. It was the Divine Summer Tower. I was slightly surprised. I didn't expect the famous Divine Summer Tower to be in Alaric's hands. A beam of light shot out from the tower onto the spatial crystal. Mysterious runes appeared on the crystal's surface. Then, the spatial crystal began to transform. Its brilliant gem-like surface began to fade. It looked as if it were being sealed. Finally, it took the form of a warp stone. It looked no different from an ordinary warp stone, but it could lead directly to the abyssal world. Alaric then threw the abyss warp stone to me. "I've added the coordinates for the human world. You can use it to travel between our world and the abyss. However, its spatial energy is limited. There is a 1-hour cooldown after each use." I took the warp stone and bowed to thank him. Magnus said, "Keep that talent awakening stone safe. It will be very useful during your 3rd class change. Also, give me the Godflame staff. I'll find someone to see if it can be repaired." I handed him the Godflame staff without hesitation. This was a legendary weapon. Humans don't have many legendary weapons. Every single one counts. Then, I gave the Ghost King's heart to Magnus. Magnus didn't look surprised. I nodded. Magnus knew about Vivian of the MO clan. She had been stuck at level 39 for over a year, seeking a Soul Nirvana crystal. But class sublimation is never that easy. With the MO clan's resources, she has at least a 60% chance. Alaric interrupted. "But with your power, Magnus, you are surely better than them." Magnus cut him off. "Alaric, that's not fair." Alaric teased him. "I heard that old man already brought out that treasure." Magnus took a deep breath. "I, Magnus, have never been second to anyone. Since he is going all out. Dante, give me 2 Soul Nirvana crystals. I will prepare for your 2nd class change. I guarantee that during your change, there is an 80% chance for class sublimation, and a 30% chance to awaken a 2nd talent." I was shocked. Such high odds were unheard of. Even Vivian only had a 60% chance for sublimation, let alone a 2nd talent. Magnus continued talking. His words made me think. My current talent comes from the system. If it is not a natural awakening, then during the 2nd class change, is there a 90% chance to awaken a talent? I felt excited. Maybe I can become a 3-talent user like the Godflame mage mentioned. I saw Magnus' pained expression, knowing how much he was sacrificing for my class change. He must be paying a high price, on top of everything he has already done for me. I was deeply moved at that moment. I bowed to him with great respect. "Thank you, Lord Magnus." But Alaric shook his head. I understood immediately. I picked up a teacup and offered it to Magnus. Disciple greets his master. Magnus accepted the cup and drank it all. From that moment on, I was Magnus' official disciple. Magnus smiled slightly. "Tomorrow, you leave for Nanhong City for the class user tournament. Aim to bring back the championship. But don't be careless. Some class users might have abilities that counter yours." I nodded firmly. "I will give it my all." After I left, Alaric said, "There's something Dante didn't tell you. He killed the young leader of the Dynasty Guild." Magnus frowned. "Why didn't that boy tell me? To hell with the Dynasty Guild. I could crush them with one hand." Alaric shook his head. "Perhaps he just didn't want to trouble you." After leaving the courtyard, I contacted Sierra to set our departure time for tomorrow. Then, I headed back to Fortress number 1. I noticed many people were discussing the Battlefield Ghost King. "Have you heard? The leader of the Dynasty Guild has arrived. Supposedly, while their team was hunting the battlefield Ghost King, their entire squad was wiped out. Not only was the battlefield Ghost King stolen, but his son, Slade, was also killed on the spot, regardless of who did it. They deserve it for always bullying us solo players. Because the Dynasty Guild has such a terrible reputation, seeing them in this miserable state makes most class users very happy. But this matter won't end so easily. The National Class User Tournament was absolutely intense. While others struggled to kill a single Abyss Hellhound, my skeleton warriors were one-shotting them. I passed the preliminaries using less than 1,000th of my power. Earlier, when I arrived at Fortress Number 1 for the skill proving grounds, I learned that the leader of the Dynasty Guild had arrived. He was clearly there to investigate the death of his son, Slade. I immediately left Fortress Number 1 without hesitation. I didn't want to leave any clues for him to find. The next day, I arrived in Nanhong City with Raven and the others. Nanhong City is one of the few super cities in the Divine Summer Empire. It is almost as grand as the capital, Summer Capital. Over 100 teleportation arrays were lined up. Countless class users kept pouring out of them. For this class user tournament, the Divine Summer Empire not only built massive facilities for the contestants, but even provided food and lodging for free. This showed the immense power of the Divine Summer Empire. A massive crowd of class users gathered in the square. There were hundreds of thousands of people. Raven's eyes widened at the sight. How long will this take with so many people? Sierra smiled and replied, "These are only the class users under level 40. The high-level users are competing at a different location, and there are just as many people there. But the Empire anticipated this large turnout. They will hold the preliminaries before the main event. Only teams that pass can move on. It is said that over 90% of the teams will be eliminated, since levels vary among class users. To keep it fair, those under level 70 will be divided into groups for every 10 levels." Sierra explained all the competition rules to us. Hundreds of teams from Summer Capital Academy are here to compete. I searched through the crowd intently. Eventually, a look of disappointment appeared on my face. I couldn't see my sister, Moira, anywhere. Raven noticed my expression. She took my hand to comfort me. "Don't worry. You will definitely see her." I nodded firmly at her words. I told myself she just hadn't arrived yet. Suddenly, an angry shout came from behind. "If you want to flirt, do it somewhere else. Don't block the way." The speaker carried a massive battle blade. He was at least 2 meters tall. He clearly looked like a warrior class. He glared at Raven and me with annoyance. "This is the path to the arena, not your private home." I gave him a cold look. My icy gaze made him shiver instantly. The aura radiating from my body filled him with intense fear. He backed down instantly. "Otherwise, we'll be disqualified." Raven clearly knew this too. She pulled my arm and spoke. "Just let it go." I nodded slightly. The big guy hurried away to escape. He felt lucky to still be alive. He had felt a real, intense killing intent. A giant screen appeared in the sky after he left. It showed the rules for the preliminaries. The preliminaries were divided into 2 parts. First the team trial, then the solo trial. The rules were simple yet cruel. 5-man teams were divided into groups. Every team in a group faced the same difficulty. Whether a team was level 20 or level 29, the stages were exactly the same. Higher levels usually had the advantage. But skills, gear, and classes also mattered. Team composition was also a key factor. The examiner announced the start. Teams entered the teleportation portal. Once inside the portal, the scenery changed instantly. A long passage appeared before us. This sight felt very familiar. It was just like my initial big exam. They were using the Divine Summer Tower. The objective appeared before everyone. Defeat the final boss to pass. The rules were simple with no extra requirements. But it won't be easy to actually do. Sierra immediately told Gage to apply buffs. Gage raised his staff. Buff auras began to appear on everyone. Their attributes increased significantly in an instant. Unfortunately, these buffs didn't work on me. But with my strength, it didn't matter anyway. As I was about to summon skeletons to finish the preliminaries, Raven interrupted me. "Don't do anything yet. Let us try first. If we can't pass, then you step in." I nodded in agreement. I followed at the very back of the team. Shortly after we entered the trial grounds, a monster appeared. The appearance of this monster was exactly like an Abyss Hellhound. However, its aura was not nearly as strong. Its level and attributes were also much lower. It was clearly a copy created by the Divine Summer Tower. Raven easily slipped behind the Abyss Hellhound. She unleashed her Fatal Strike skill. Her dagger pierced deep into the hound's body. The intense pain made the hound scream. It fell to the ground, motionless. This is the explosive power of an assassin. Mages are powerful, but they have to chant their spells first. It can take anywhere from 10 to 60 seconds. Assassin skills can be unleashed instantly. Seeing the monster killed instantly, the others looked relaxed. It seemed much easier than they expected. I just smiled secretly to myself. Meanwhile, the Divine Summer Empire began a global live stream. Every country could now watch the competition. A giant screen in the square drew everyone's attention. It was filled with the names of all the team captains. My name was there, but my score was very low. As the scores updated constantly, my name quickly dropped to the lower middle ranks. Some team names started turning gray. Their rankings plummeted to the bottom. This meant those teams were eliminated. Only 5 minutes into the preliminaries, and many teams were already out. This proved the preliminaries were harder than expected. The top team already had 40 points. But my score was only 23 points. Watching the livestream, Magnus grew anxious. What is Dante doing? The others are way ahead of him. This isn't like him at all. He looked over at Alaric. Alaric, can you give me a hint? As the overseer of the Divine Summer Tower, Alaric knew exactly what was happening inside. He knew I hadn't even made a move yet. But he refused to tell Magnus anything. What's the rush? The preliminaries aren't a race. You just need to pass the stage. Magnus laughed after hearing that. That kid has the makings of a champion. The preliminaries won't be enough to stop him. Inside the proving grounds, facing 5 Abyss Hellhounds, Raven and her teammates have reached their limit. They finally understand the extent of their current power. Sierra looked back at me and spoke. We've done our best. The rest is up to you, Dante. I smiled at her words. I raised my hand as black mist surged from the ground. In an instant, a swarm of skeleton warriors appeared. They charged at the Hellhounds with a clattering sound. More Abyss Hellhounds appeared ahead of us. But as the skeleton warriors raised their blades, 3 Hellhounds died instantly before they could even scream. My skeleton warrior's strength is now over 20,000. They can one-shot Hellhounds even in the primordial battlefield. These weakened level 27 versions don't stand a chance. In less than 3 seconds, all dozen Hellhounds were wiped out. Sierra and the others were stunned. They needed complex tactics just to handle 4 Hellhounds. Yet my skeletons finished them with a single strike. It made their elaborate strategies feel pointless. Comparing yourself to a genius is truly frustrating. Raven tried to comfort them. Don't compare yourselves to him. His skeletons are monsters. They can even kill level 40 high-ranking demons. With me joining the fight, our pace accelerated. Our score began to skyrocket. Meanwhile, the top team scores had stopped moving. Their scores have all reached 200 points. This means they've reached the final stage of the assessment. It's time for the final boss. I've finally revealed my true strength for the first time in the class user tournament. While Raven and the others were struggling against the Abyss Hellhounds, I finally stepped in after watching from the back. I wiped out all the Abyss Hellhounds in less than 2 minutes. Dante, 200 points. I instantly caught up to the top of the rankings. Now it's time for the final boss battle. But this boss won't be easy to handle. It tests not only the team's coordination, but also their overall combat capability. Our team has now arrived before the boss. And this is a boss I know very well. This boss looks familiar. It's exactly like the Abyss Hound demon I killed before. Many Abyss Hellhounds appeared behind it. Sierra got nervous seeing this. Is that an abyssal demon? Raven asked with a smile. But that's not a real Abyss Hound demon. The real ones are much stronger than this. Jade asked curiously. Can Dante beat it? Raven smiled. He has killed more Abyss Hound demons than the Hellhounds here today. Everyone was shocked to hear that. They didn't realize Dante was so powerful. Meanwhile, the skeleton warriors charged at the boss. The boss ordered its minions to attack as well. Dozens of Abyss Hellhounds rushed the skeleton warriors. The skeleton warriors instantly used Frenzy Strike. 3 Abyss Hellhounds died instantly. Then I used Corpse Explosion on them. After 3 loud explosions, all the Hellhounds were wiped out. Even the Abyss Hound demon boss vanished. Only corpses remained on the ground. A majestic voice echoed through the area. Our team of 5 was teleported back outside. Our rank jumped up from the hundreds. The audience was shocked by what they saw. How did they kill the boss so fast? Wait, that team name looks familiar. Someone nearby reminded him. The top scorer of this year's national exam is named Dante. The man was even more stunned. How did he enter the level 20 tournament so quickly? Maybe he just levels up faster than others. Otherwise, how could he be the top scorer? Sierra and the others were stunned when they saw the rankings. We're actually in first place, Sierra said in disbelief. But Raven said calmly. This is normal. We'll win the championship too. Since Raven had been with Dante for a long time, she was already used to this. Sierra shook her head. I just can't believe the boss fight took less than 5 seconds. Dante said indifferently. It could have been even faster. Sierra and the others were speechless. What did he mean by even faster? Wasn't 5 seconds fast enough? After a long wait, the second team finally teleported out. But their expressions froze instantly. They realized someone was much faster than them. They were shocked and felt indignant. Their captain walked over. Who is Dante? He asked resentfully. Raven and the others ignored him. But he sensed a cold aura coming from me. He sized me up and said, So you're Dante? I'll remember you. We will defeat you in the tournament. Then he turned and left. Sierra shook her head and said, Meeting Junior Dante in this group is their misfortune. More and more people began to pass the preliminaries. The number of eliminated teams on the screen increased. There were far more losers than winners. It seems 90% was a conservative estimate. At this rate, only about 2,000 teams will pass. Over 100,000 teams signed up for this tournament. About 70% of those teams are below level 40. If only 2,000 out of 70,000 teams survive, the pass rate is only about 3%. 97% of teams can't even pass the preliminaries. This shows that the surviving teams are very strong. Soon, the team preliminaries ended. A powerful voice echoed throughout the arena. 502 teams have passed the preliminaries. The solo competition had even more participants. They were also grouped by every 10 levels. However, compared to the team competition, teleportation arrays began to glow. The trial grounds were revealed. It was the exact same venue as the team competition. Many people started to get a bad feeling. Will the elimination rate be high again? Isn't it obvious? With 200,000 people, it's bound to be high. We'll be lucky if 5,000 people are left. The teleportation arrays were soon fully formed.